Hi everyone, Arlene Phillips here. I hope you've been enjoying the story of Alana Dancing Star, and today I'm going to continue it. For those of you who don't know, I'm a choreographer and have done many different things such as the film of Annie, a long time ago, but it's still being shown. I choreographed Grease the musical at Curve Theatre, and I've done quite a lot of music videos with Robbie Williams and different stars over the years. I wrote a series of books and I'm in the middle of reading LA Moves, which is all about the time that Alana arrived in LA in a film studio and watched her favorite band TJS recording their latest music video. And we pick up after she's arrived back in Madame Coco's Magic Emporium, where the magic begins and the magic ends. And she's about to dance at the school concert. The next time Alana and Mina had a class at Step Out Studios, they hung behind afterwards and asked Miss Trina if she could help them. Miss Trina was always happy to help. Mina had brought a CD of TJS's latest album, and they wanted to put two different tracks together, one in 4/4 time and one in 3/4 time, and mix them into a new track which would be just right for the routine that they had been working on. It wasn't as good as having the new single from LA, thought Alana, but definitely the next best thing, because even though she'd watched the recording of the new music video, it wouldn't be out in time because the concert was as soon as Alana had arrived back from LA. Now, there was also a problem about what Mina was going to wear. Alana had an amazing outfit from Madame Coco's Emporium that she had been loaned for the concert, but Mina needed something to match. Miss Trina solved part of the problem. She rooted around in the studio props room and found some cool baggy khaki trousers that fitted Mina perfectly. "What are you going to wear on top?" said Alana as they gathered their things together in the changing room. "Oh, it's okay. I've got a nice little white vest at home, which should just be fine. But it's the trainers. I'm really worried about the trainers. Mine are from our local supermarket. They were ever so cheap and they're a bit rubbish." "Oh, did you say trainers?" said a voice in the distance. Alana and Mina nearly jumped out of their skins. Who was listening? They thought everyone else had gone home. It was Chloe, the sweetest, kindest girl in the school, and she was sitting next to a row of lockers getting changed out of her practice clothes. "Oh yes, I did say trainers," said Mina. "I need them for the dance at the school concert, and I don't have any proper ones. Not really, not street dance style." "What size are you?" asked Chloe. "I'm a 2, said Mina. "Why?" "Oh, that's perfect, squeaked Chloe. "My mum can never remember what size my feet are. And she bought me some trainers in the sale. They're black and silver. I love them so much, but they're way too small for me. They're size 2. I'm a 3.5. Mum, she's always like that. However much I try to squeeze my feet into them, I just can't do it." "Oh, please, could I borrow your trainers?" said Mina. Or does your mum want to take them back to the shop?" "Oh, she can't," said Chloe. "She keeps trying to make me wear them. And every time I try them on, I dance around in them, but they don't look new anymore. She can't possibly take them back." And actually she got them weeks ago. So it's okay. Actually, I'd like you to have them. Oh, Chloe, you're such a star, said Mina, giving her a hug. I can't wait for the school talent show now. I can't wait either, said Chloe. I'm playing my clarinet in the school band. And I hear there's going to be loads of people in the audience from Step Out Studio. Yes, said Alana. There'll be the three of us, of course, and Toby's doing a skateboarding routine with a bunch of his friends, and Miss Trina's coming because she's going to watch her niece. So that's everyone, right? Oh, and Verity, said Chloe. What? Cried Alana and Mina together. Verity? Yes, Verity, said Chloe. Is that a problem? Why is Verity coming? Asked Alana. She doesn't even go to our primary school. She goes to Primula Prep. I invited her, said Chloe. Was that the wrong thing to do? Chloe always thought that Verity was much nicer than she actually was. In fact, Chloe thought everyone was nice. She was the sweetest ever. Alana covered her head with her hands and Mina sighed. But Chloe was starting to look upset, so Mina put her arm around her and said, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm sure everything will be fine. Alana and Mina practiced their routine every single evening. Sometimes they went to Alana's house and danced on the hard floor of her bedroom, where she did all her dance practice. And sometimes they went to Mina's. Her bedroom was much bigger and it had carpet, which wasn't as good. But at least they could do some of the spins and the slides and the tricks because they had the space. The night before the school talent show, they were rehearsing at Mina's. Phew, said Mina as the track came to an end and she pressed stop on her bright pink CD player. I think I've got it sorted. I bet TJS would like our routine, said Alana. Oh, can you imagine actually dancing with them, said Mina. Alana just smiled. It was the evening of the talent show and the school hall was filled with rows of seats waiting for the audience to come in. The only one there was Verity, sitting in the middle of the front row, wearing a really great designer outfit, with her nails painted a perfect pale pink. Her hair was put up and styled, and she was messaging away on her phone with a smirk on her face. Alana wondered why she got there so early. The show wasn't due to start for another hour. Maybe she wanted to get the centre seat. Alana and Mina went into the little room behind the stage that had been turned into a dressing room. It was chaos. There was a boy practicing his juggling act, but the balls kept hitting people because there wasn't enough space. And different people were practicing different songs, all at the same time. The noise. One girl was playing the violin, and there was even a gymnast trying to do a cartwheel when there was barely any room to stand upright. Alana and Mina were already dressed up in their street dance gear. They'd done their hair in 2 loose plaits, just like Alana's hair in LA. Alana was wearing her hair ribbons from Madame Coco and she had red lips. And Mina had found some black and silver ribbons that matched Chloe's trainers for her hair. Alana was stretching and warming up as best as she could in the tiny space when suddenly she clapped her hand to her forehead. I've forgotten to give our teacher Miss Trina's CD, she said, so she can put it on when it's our turn to dance. Oh, it's okay, don't worry, we've got lots of time, come on. Alana went over to her jacket pocket where she'd put the CD and felt inside for it, but it wasn't there. Her jacket had loads and loads of pockets. She must have put it in a different one. But the other pockets only held the usual mix of tissues a packet of sweets, some hair slides, a little note to herself. Definitely no CD. In desperation, she pulled her coat off the peg and prodded it all over, hoping to find the thin round disc. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The girls looked at each other in horror. Where could it be? What were they going to do? They couldn't dance their routine to any other song. They needed Miss Trina's special mix. What were they going to do? They needed the time change from 4/4 to 3/4. Just then, Chloe came bursting into the dressing room holding out her clarinet. And when she saw Alana and Mina, she came over to them beaming. "I'm so excited," she said. "Are you excited? I bet everyone's excited." "Well, I'm definitely, completely, utterly, butterfly excited." And then she noticed the girls were looking really gloomy. "What's the matter?" she said. "You don't seem excited." "We've lost the CD that we were meant to be dancing to. Miss Trina had made a special mix for us." "Oh no, that's terrible," said Chloe. "I was just telling Verity about that great mix you had and how Miss Trina helped you put it together." "Hang on," said Alana. "Did you say you told Verity about our CD?" "Well, yes," said Chloe. She was in the dressing room and I was just chatting to her about it." "Why?" Alana and Mina groaned. "Come on," said Alana, pulling Mina out of the dressing room. "I bet Verity has taken it. It would just be the sort of thing she would do." "We've got to find out what she's done with it." The girls ran out, leaving Chloe standing there with her clarinet looking totally confused. "Maybe we should just ask Verity straight out if she's got it," said Mina. "She's never going to tell us," said Alana. "Yeah, but probably not, but isn't it worth a try?" So Alana and Mina went over to where Verity was still sitting in the hall. She was whispering something to her mum, and the mum was laughing in a high tinkly voice just like Verity's. "Hi, Verity," said Alana. "Hello," said Verity with a fake smile. "Oh, shouldn't you both be warming up for the talent show? I've heard you've got something very modern to show." "Well, we would be," replied Mina, "but we've lost the CJS with sorry about that. But we've lost a CD with the TJS mix that we were planning to dance to. We wondered whether you'd seen it because I know you were in the dressing room earlier." "Why should I have seen it?" said Verity very calmly, looking Mina straight in the eye. "I wouldn't touch a TJS CD. I can't bear them." "Come on," said Mina. "Let's get out of here. There's no point. We're just going to have to try and find it." "Good luck, girls," said Verity, with a smile on her face. "I'm sure it was her," said Alana, once they were out of earshot. "I could see it in her eyes, but we can't prove it. She's always doing mean things," said Mina, "especially to you, Alana. I think it's because you're such a good dancer and she's jealous. And she probably feels even more annoyed now because Miss Trina has given you Matthew as a partner, and Matthew was her partner." "Come on," said Mina. "Let's see if she's chucked it in one of the bins." There was a row of rubbish bins at the back door of the school. Alana lifted up the lid, and in the very first one they looked in, right on the top, was a CD, except it was no longer in one piece, it had been snapped in half. The girls sat on the ground by the bin. It's not fair, said Alana. After all we've been through to get this dance ready, all the practicing to do something special. Come on, said Mina. We may as well go back to school or people will be wondering where we are. Let's really think hard about what we can do. They started to walk back to school. Slowly, Alana taking the lead. Hey, what's in your back pocket? Said Mina. Your trousers look all wonky and funny. I don't know, said Alana. And she put her hands to the back of her slouchy trousers. And as she felt in her pocket, her fingers met something hard and shiny. Her eyes widened as she looked at it. It was a CD, and scrawled across it in black marker pen with the words, "A special track for a special dancing star, for Alana, love Max, kisses from TJS." Alana remembered that she'd felt Max slip something into her pocket just before she found herself back at Madame Coco's. "Let's go, Mina," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I think everything's going to be okay after all." Alana grabbed a bewildered Mina by the hand and ran into the school hall. "Trust me, this is going to work," she said. She gave it to the teacher and said, "Please can you put the CD on with the sound turned very low, so I just want to check what's on it." She heard the opening notes and it was a recording of TJS's brand new song. No one else in the world had heard it yet. Alana leaned over and pressed stop. "This is the CD we want, she said to her teacher. "And yes, Mina, this is the CD we really want." They were both beaming and smiling. Alana peeped out and she could see Verity looking over to her with a worried frown. But she definitely hadn't worked out what was going on. She soon would. The girls were waiting in their wings for their turn. They were the last act before the interval. They peeped out. There were parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, friends. Mina's whole family were there. Her mum and dad were trying to stop her little brother and sister from bashing at each other with their programs. Alana's mum and sister weren't there. Her mum was doing a late shift at the restaurant where she worked. Alana sighed and pulled herself together. Mum often didn't turn up at anything she was doing, and she was not going to let that spoil her evening. The show began. A group of girls from Year 6 did a gymnastics routine. The school band played a medley of songs from the musicals. Then Lara and Alice came up to do a Girls Unlimited number. Alana and Mina's classes with Miss Trina meant they were really good, and they could see that the girls, despite being good, just hadn't rehearsed properly, because in the section where they were performing identical moves, Lara was always a beat behind everyone else. But nobody in the audience minded. They got a huge round of applause. At last, it was Alana and Mina's turn. As soon as they ran on stage and TJS sang the opening lines of the song, there was a ripple of excitement round the rooms. Loads of the kids in the audience were TJS fans, but they'd never heard this song before. Where had it come from? When Alana and Mina burst into their dance with a 6-step down rock opening, straight into a freeze, the audience went crazy. There was whooping and cheering, and lots of the kids stood up and started dancing along. Halfway through, Alana was vaguely aware of Verity and her mother just jumping up and leaving the hall. When it came to the middle section, the audience cheered even louder. And then Alana saw her mum and Abby jumping around right at the very front. Her mum must have managed to get away from work early. Oh my goodness, Alana's heart was just pounding as she danced her hardest. As the song drew to a close, there were cheers and cries of again and again, and the whole audience was standing up. But there wasn't time for more. The curtain fell down and the lights in the hall went up. Some of the pupils brought out trays of orange squash and custard creams for all the performers. In the dressing room, Alana and Mina gave each other a hug. "Oh my goodness, that was amazing," said Toby, coming up with his skateboard under his arm. "I wish we did that kind of dancing at Step Out Studios. I'd love it if we did. It would be so much more or less boring than waltzing." "I'll teach you some steps if you like, Toby," said Mina, blushing, "if you'd like that." "Oh, that'd be great," said Toby. "I want to do that dance." "Yes, please." "Wow," said Lara, running up to them. "Your routine was awesome." "Yes," said Alice. "I can't believe you managed those tricky moves. I never knew you could do street dancing. You two were just so awesome." "We couldn't do it until a couple of weeks ago," said Mina. "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you didn't do that boring old dance waltz you were practicing. This is so much better." "Actually," said Alana, "what we did tonight was a kind of a waltz. In the middle, it was just a kind of waltz no one's ever seen before because it's mixed with the street, huh? Do you think it's cool?" "Oh yes," said Lara, "that is pretty cool. I think everyone will want to do street dance now." "Well," said Alana, "maybe they'll start teaching it at Step Out Studios." As soon as Alana got back into the school hall, her mum rushed up to her. "I'm so proud of you, my darling," she said. And Abby was behind, bouncing up and down and squeaking with excitement. Alana picked up her little sister and hugged her hard. And then the three of them watched the second half of the concert and headed home. That evening, Alana sat on her bed with her legs crossed and took out the beautiful purple and gold album that Madame Coco had given her the first time she ever went into her shop. And opening it up, she slipped her TJS CD into one of the special pockets. And then she got out a gold and silver pen and decorated the outside of the pocket with stars and a TJS logo. Alana climbed into bed and lay there, gazing at her poster of TJS and staring up to Max, who was lit by the moonlight creeping around the edge of her curtains. She blew Max a kiss, and then, smiling to herself, she drifted off to sleep, just wondering, was it a dream? Or did she really go to LA and meet TJS? So that's the end of Alana Dancing Star. There are other books in the series that you can get on Kindle, and there's Bollywood Dreams, when Alana goes into a Bollywood movie, the Viennese Waltz, where she magically goes to Vienna, Stage Sensation, yes, she's in a musical, Samba Spectacular, Brazil, and Dancing in the Carnival, and Twilight Tango, which is a beautiful story. And she learns a stunning tango. So that's the end of the stories. And now, if you would like to, it's your turn to dance. And when I mean dance, I mean express yourself any way you know how, any dance, because I'm going to hold a competition and there's a special prize, and so I'm going to look at all your videos. So if you want to do a little dance, 30 seconds max, and just embrace dance and dance from your heart, and do whatever you want, you would then send that video to contactus@curvetheatre.co.uk. Contact us at curvetheatre.co.uk. We'll get Curve Theatre maybe to put it up so you can see it. Send in the videos, let's say by next Wednesday. So you have a week after listening to this, and let me see you dance and tell a story, do some cool moves, dress up, dance around the room, whatever you can do. And then my winner will get a very, very special prize, but I'm really looking forward to seeing you all dance. So I know you're homeschooling, and I hope that everyone is really doing well, because you must be missing friends, and that's hard. And I understand that, you know, even grown-ups, we're not seeing the people that we usually see. And I miss theatre. I love sitting in the theatre, and I love creating shows in the theatre. You know, I've done We Will Rock You and Sound of Music and Wizard of Oz and many, many more. And just being in a rehearsal room, experiencing what it's like to put the steps together. And it's quite hard because you have to imagine them, create them, you've got to be able to dance them. And I have wonderful dancers that I work with. And if anyone wants to be a dancer, I just want to say, if you know you want to dance, then never stop practicing, never give up your hopes and dreams, no matter what happens. Like Alana Dancing Star, she has her dreams and she goes to magical places. And when I'm dancing, that's what happens to me. I start to dance and I go to magical places. I can imagine I'm anywhere, anybody. And I look at some of the really cool young dancers on TikTok and I realize how fabulous they are. And they're all dreaming of dance. So thank you for listening and lots of love. Bye.